Hey YouTube, it's your boy D7 here, and this is the long-awaited iPod Touch 2nd Gen Jailbreak. Now this is the easiest version of the GUI that I could find out there. There's two downloads you need to get onto your desktop, and you can get these from the video description. So over here where it says please read, click more info. You need to download the cywood zip folder, and you need to also download the 2.2.1 iPod Touch 2nd Gen firmware. Okay, now this is important. You need to make sure that your iPod Touch is freshly restored to 2.2.1 in iTunes. Okay, now when you have these two items on your desktop, I want you to right click on the zip folder and I want you to extract till you see the cywood folder on your desktop, like so. Then I want you to drag and drop the firmware into the folder so everything is in one place. Now click into the folder and it will look exactly like this. Now important note, if you are a Windows Vista user like myself, you will need to click into the install folder, right click on libUSB, and you will need to scroll down to properties and click on compatibility and make sure that this box here is ticked so it's compatible with Windows XP. Okay, make sure you've clicked apply and then OK. Now this only applies to Windows Vista users. Okay, if you're on XP then you don't need to do any of that. Once we're finished there, I want you to open up the application cywood Jailbreak Helper, and it will look exactly like this. Okay, now there's two things you need to install. The first one is libUSB, and you install that by clicking this button here. And the second one is CC+, and you install that by clicking this button here. Now once you have those two items installed, you can then click next step. Now we're going to create our own firmware. Sounds harder than it is. All you need to do is click on the iPod Touch 2.2.1 restore firmware, and then click this button here, start making IPSW file. Okay, now this is going to take a good 2 to 5 minutes creating the custom firmware. So I'm going to cut this out and I will come back to you guys when it's done. Okay guys, so the crazy scrolling writing is gone and the program has automatically closed. We then need to go to the next step. Okay, now we need to set the iPod Touch 2nd Gen into DFU mode. And I'm just going to put the camera down, and the easiest way to do this is to hold down the power button and the home button for 10 seconds till you hear the chime. Okay, now once you hear the chime, let go of the power button and keep your thumb on the home button till again you hear the chime. Now once you hear that chime, you are in DFU mode. Okay, and now iTunes will pop up because it's going to recognize it in recovery mode. Okay, now when this does pop up, I'm just going to exit out of it. Okay, and we need to click here, upload DFU file, and then we are going to disconnect and then reconnect the iPod Touch. So disconnect, reconnect. You will get a bright white screen. Okay, this is fine. It's all part of the master plan. Okay, so you will get the bright white screen. Of course iTunes is going to pop up into action again, and we are going to just minimize that again. Now when you have the bright white screen, I want you to click here, upload own patch, and when we've done that we need to click next step. Okay, now we're on the next step. I want you to click here, press me. Okay, now where it says iPhone, I want you to right click and select paste. Now the commands are already set, so you don't have to copy, you just have to right click and paste, just as I showed you. Okay, so once we're finished there, we need to bring iTunes back into the game, and let's maximize that. Now on restore we are going to hit shift button and left click together. Okay, so shift button, left click together. This will let us browse for our custom firmware we've just created. So I'm just going to put the camera down and I'm going to shift left click together, and you can see there it's brought up a browse, so I can browse for my firmware. I'm just going to go back to the desktop because that's what would normally show, and we just need to click on the cywood folder, which you will have, and then remember the firmware we created, it's going to be renamed Jailbroken IPSW. Double click that and it will now extract software as normal, but to our custom firmware, which will include Cydia and installer. Okay, so again I'm going to come back after this is done, save a bit of time. So when we have finished restoring to our custom firmware, you will get this pop up, USB is not recognized, and your iPod Touch will be non-responsive. Okay, don't worry, it's all part of the master plan. Okay, so when we have finished with iTunes and we've exited it out, go to next step, and again we're going to need to set the iPod Touch 2nd Gen into DFU mode, and again it's the home button and power button for about 10 seconds till you hear the chime. Then let go of the power button and keep your thumb on the home button till you hear the chime again. Then we know we're in DFU mode again. Okay, and of course iTunes is going to pop up again, and all we need to do here is of course exit out. Okay, and then we need to click the upload DFU. Now again we need to disconnect and reconnect. You will get the bright white screen again, which is fine. And of course we need to exit out of iTunes again, and then we need to click upload own patch. Okay, then we can go to next step and click press me button, and again like before right click and paste. Again the commands are already set, you don't need to copy anything, you just need to click right click and paste. Again the iPod Touch has still got the bright white screen. Okay, so when we're done there we need to click next step, and this is the final bit. We need to click upload patch DFU, then we need to click on enter, go and exit. Now you need to type in here the command go, G-O. Okay, type in G-O, then return, then \EXIT, click return. Okay, now wait for iTunes to pop up because we need to exit out of iTunes before we do the next step. Okay, now we need to then click the third button and then the final button, enter go. Okay, now type in G-O. Now you can see my iPod Touch has the white screen. As soon as I press return on go, my iPod Touch is booting up. Okay, so then I'm going to \EXIT, return, and we're out of there. We can then close down the GUI and wait for our iPod Touch 2nd Gen to boot up in its new refreshed form. Now once we open iTunes we just need to configure it as a new device, set it up as a new device, and we should be fine. And there we go, installer Cydia 2.2.1 2nd Gen iPod Touch